Everyone, I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. I have really appreciated reading through your discussions this week and wanted to share some of the common themes that I feel emerged throughout your conversations. One of the themes I felt that came about as you were sharing about your relationship to science was the contrast that this new way of looking at the scientific method compared to the linearity and solitary nature of the more traditional model. Dana reflected, this course has really adjusted my view of science from a strict, linear, textbook perspective to a more adaptable, play-based, and exploratory viewpoint. Science is not just about the product, the keywords, or the writing. It's about the process and the research, and that's exactly what the children do every day. They hypothesize, they experiment, they test, and they do it again and again every day without us even realizing it. These experiences limited the sense of curiosity and wonder innate in STEM. Sam shared, science is viewed as having a set experiment to explore, a set of items, and hypothesis plus an outcome. That is how it was taught in my high school. Sometimes if that outcome is or was wrong or not in the book, it was still viewed as negative ending instead of an error of discovery. Children are being trained to view these normal processes of the scientific method as wrong instead of normal. By having one set idea or answer being the be-all end-all result is detrimental and a horrible form of gatekeeping. It keeps children from experiencing how science works, the process of science, and how children learn. Callie reflected on the solitary nature of her experiences with science. Science didn't offer much time to revisit my work and to be meaningful in dialogue, and to be in meaningful dialogue with my classmates about my hypothesis. This limited interaction with peers and lack of time for reflection excluded the many ways of knowing and researching that exist within all humans. Lena shared, there is immense categorization in science, and it can be expressed and presented as some kind of hard truth rather than as one of many ways to group and look at the characteristics of something. But if you group everything differently, your view of the same thing can change. The goldenrods and asters article from Braiding Sweetgrass remains very relevant about how your understanding of the world is more complete and fuller when you incorporate multiple ideas, perspective, and methods of science. It also highlights the gatekeeping in learning science if you don't do it the way the instructions say, in which order, segregated in which manner, following which methods, etc. Then you are not welcome to learn. No science for you. Science is learning what others have done using the method and concluded. Yes, there is a lot to learn there, but it is also restrained, and if you don't do it the right way, then you don't belong. You reflected on the many ways you have experienced the gatekeeping of science. Abby shared, somewhere along the way, science in this country has turned into what appears from the outside as an elite club where you have to be able to pass the highest courses in math and science to be able to get a seat. We have forgotten that we all have scientific minds that are naturally curious about our surroundings. Miranda questioned the pressures of testing, rigid curriculum, and one right way to do science. So why did they limit us in school? Miranda questioned the pressures of testing, rigid curriculum, and the one right way to do science. So why did they limit us so much in school? Was this purposeful? I can't help but think there may be a connection to this in the systems of power and how things are hidden from us in this world today. If we aren't taught how to explore our curiosities and push the limits, do many of us ever question this, or do we just continue to follow the standard as we get older? As we engage in this framework of the scientific method, I am hopeful that the widened perspective includes all members of the community, as well as their perspectives and ways of knowing, no matter how they choose to show it. Whether they engage in a linear or nonlinear process, they're all valid. Adriana offers this idea for democratizing science. Creating space for new questions, for layers, and for dissonance are essential ingredients for the establishment of a democratic space, one in which all ideas are valued and perspectives are honored. We as educators need to be aware of our own potential for gatekeeping, even if it's not intentional. Engaging in the frameworks presented in this course is not a magic solution, but rather they hold the promise of a more inclusive space through a continual process of self-awareness, observation, and reflection. This upcoming week, I invite you to explore how this new way of looking at the scientific method can shift your perspective and how STEM can be democratic, that we are all scientists, that there are moments of entry and feedback that can give students the opportunity to engage and provide new perspectives if we are listening. As you go into this week's experiences, I invite you to take the time to go outside and visit a place that you've been wanting to go but may have felt constrained by time or demands. I'm giving you permission to take an hour and enjoy this space. This is your homework. Go play outside or wherever it is that's calling you and engage in research. Through the hands-on experience, you will have an opportunity to explore what it is about this place that calls you. So let me talk to you a little bit about this hands-on experience. So as you can see, it's another 60-minute experience, but this time I'm asking you to go outside, take a picture. I want to see where you go, and then share the notes that you take while you're engaging. There's a sheet that I'm asking you to download that has prompts on it, much like last week's design thinking. You can take the actual sheet and write on it, or you can just write the prompts down and in notebook and do it in whatever way you want. So everything else is the same. The description of materials is going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be your paper and maybe your camera and something to write with. Still to a connection to at least two of the weekly readings, set a goal, question for further thought, and then there's these unique questions this week. How does this compare to your previous experiences with the scientific method? And how does this experience connect to the flowchart? So referring back to our new, more flowy flowchart that we've been looking at for scientific method. Okay, so here are the directions. So here's our University of California flowchart that you can take with you. If you have not watched the video, I highly encourage you to do this now because it'll provide you with a much bigger framework, or maybe ground you in the framework. It is about 50 minutes, so set some time for it, but it's really, really beautiful. Okay, so then take the prompts with you, and we're going to ask you to talk this over with a partner. It can be someone from class, but it also can just be anyone. And you don't have to do it right then in the moment. They don't have to go on this walk with you. You can call them later whenever you have time to connect. So let's see. Okay, so let me show you. Oh, and then this one's kind of down here, which is kind of out of the order of things, but when you are writing this out, share which aspect of the scientific method do you feel like you're engaging in. So connect back to that flow chart. Oh, I feel like I was engaging with community here, solving for a problem. Okay, so here are the prompts. And this is the one where you're going to talk with a colleague. Here it's asking you to develop a relationship with the space, write a letter, draw a picture, write a poem, something creative, really, whatever you can think of there. And okay, so this one is documentation in your daily life. So this one really, just like all the other cycles, is look for yourself or someone in your life engaging in small acts of research, right? We all do it every single day. You just may not realize it. So this is where you're gonna hopefully see yourself as the scientist that I know you are. And as always, share a picture or some sort of documentation so I know what you engaged in, and analyze it in terms of the framework, right? So when were you, testing ideas? When were you looking at the benefits and outcomes? And then here, now, since this is our third and final framework, you're going to compare the scientific method to messing about and design thinking. So compare and contrast, right? What similarities exist, where are some differences, and how, if you were to look at that same experience through the lens of messing about or design thinking, how does it change how you interpret it, right? So we talk about how the lens that you choose to view an experience in can change how you view it. So how do those lenses impact the way you view it? All right. So as always, let's do Wednesday and peer reviews on Friday. As always, reach out if you have any questions. And I really look forward to reading through your documentation. Have a great week and can't wait to engage with you more.